obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण नंदप्रिय नर्मदा माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीति दासी प्रसाद हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्णा आनंद प्रिय नर्मदा माता जी दंडोत प्रणाम श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय विशिष्टा
Hare Krishna, Shama Gauri Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी
Hare Krishna. Are there any other devotees who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Nandpriya Mataji Dhanvat Pranam all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Radha Pyari Devi from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Radha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nandapriya Narmada Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karnadev from India.
Hare Krishna, Indulekha Karna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, and all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Megha from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mega Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to all the devotees assembled on the call. Vasundhara Devi Dasi from Bangalore, India. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vasundhara Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji on the call to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 17, Sloka 15. Before handing over the call to Prabhuji, I would like to ask Aditi Mataji to give brief introduction of Prabhuji. Mataji, please take over.
Mataji, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. I'm very fortunate to introduce His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji is a monk for He has been educated in electronics and communication engineering from the Government College of Engineering, Pune. He subsequently served as a software engineer in a prominent multinational software corporation. Seeing the prevalent problems of addiction and overall misdirection, all due to lack of spirituality, he felt inspired to dedicate his life to the cause of sharing the spiritual wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. He travels all over the world from Australia to America, giving talks on spiritual subjects in universities such as Princeton and Cambridge and companies such as Intel and Microsoft. Prabhuji is the author of the world's only Gita feature, where he writes daily a 300-word inspirational reflection on a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. As of now, he has written over 1,700 Gita meditations that are posted www.geetadaily.com, and are read through daily feeds by thousands from all over the world. He also answers questions by seekers on his site www.thespiritualscientist.com, where his over 3,500 audio answers and several hundred articles are available. Dandavat Pranam to Prabhu. Over to you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the brief introduction.
We can read the words.
Hare Krishna, reading from Canto 6, Chapter 17, Text 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Atha papi yasim yonim asurim yahi durmate yateha bhuyo mahatam nakrita putra kilbisham. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O impudent one, my dear son, now take birth in a low sinful family of demons, so that you will not commit such an offense again towards exalted saintly persons in this world. Purport: one should be very careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of Vaishnavas, of whom Lord Shiva is the best. While instructing Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava as Hati Mata, a mad elephant. When a mad elephant enters a nice garden, it spoils the entire garden. Similarly, if one becomes like a mad elephant and commits offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, his entire spiritual career is halted. One should therefore be very careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Mother Parvati was justified in punishing Chitraketu, for Chitraketu impudently criticized the Supreme Father Mahadeva, who is the father of the living entities conditioned within this material world. Goddess Durga is called Mother and Lord Shiva is called Father. A pure Vaishnava should be very careful to engage in his specific duties without criticizing others. This is the safest position. Otherwise, if one tends to criticize others, he may commit the great offense of criticizing a Vaishnava. Because Chitraketu was undoubtedly a Vaishnava, he might have been surprised that Parvati had cursed him. Therefore, Goddess Parvati addressed him as Putra or son. Everyone is the son of Mother Durga, but she is not an ordinary mother. As soon as there is a small discrepancy in a demon's behavior, Mother Durga immediately punishes the demon so that he may come to his senses. This is explained by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 7:14. Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva ye prapadyante Mayam etam tarantite. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond this. To surrender to Krishna means to surrender to his devotees also. For no one can be a proper servant of Krishna unless he is a proper servant of a devotee. Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nishtara Payeche Kebe. Without serving a servant of Krishna, one cannot be elevated to be a servant of Krishna himself. Okay. Therefore, Mother Parvati spoke to Chitraketu exactly like a mother who says to her naughty child, My dear child, I'm punishing you so that you won't do anything like this again. This tendency of a mother to punish her child is found even in Mother Yashoda, who became the mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mother Yashoda punished Krishna by binding him and showing him a stick. Thus, it is the duty of a mother to chastise her beloved son, even in the case of the Supreme Lord. It is to be understood that Mother Durga was justified in punishing Chitraketu. This punishment was a boon to Chitraketu because after taking birth as the demon Vitrasura, he was promoted directly to Vaikuntha. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Prabhuji is not yet on the call, Mataji. Are there any other devotees who would like to introduce themselves before Prabhuji joins?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna Mohini Lakshmi Mataji. Sorry. Hare Krishna Mohini Lakshmi Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call.
Hare Krishna Anand Priya Narmada Mataji, all glories Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh.
Hare Krishna Krishna Kumari Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. I'm so sorry about that.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. This is Mukund from India, Bangalore.
Hare Krishna Mukund, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mukund, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Sukhakara Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for joining the call. I'm so sorry, Prabhuji, we could not hear your voice. Hare Krishna, welcome to the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for giving your very valuable time and association to us. Please, Prabhuji, you're an auditor, and whenever you're ready, please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Sorry again for the delay. I'll just start recording from my side, if you don't mind, and then you can record in the cloud. Okay. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatideshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'm grateful to be here with all of you today, and we are discussing the culmination of the pastime, wherein we are seeing that actually now apologies are being offered. That actually the offense that was done by Indra to his guru Brahaspati, he has himself recognized the gravity of that abuse, that offense, and he is now trying to make amends. He's apologizing for that. Uh, and as he's apologizing, we are reading this particular verse over here. So today I will talk broadly in three terms. I will talk about the nature of the guru disciple relationship, and then I'll talk about how that relationship works out in our world, and then we can talk about how that principle of guidance can be applied in our life today. So in one sense, whenever we live in the world, there we always need guidance. So when we are children, we need guidance of parents. As we go to school, the guides themselves could change. They could be parents, they could be teachers at school, they could be mentors in our particular profession, they could be if somebody has mental health issues, they could be therapists, there could be life coaches, personal coaches. Now in some fields, the need for guidance is seen much more than in others. So for example, many people who are very successful as sports players, their primary in success is often not just due to their hard work, but also due to the coaches and the guidance that they get from the coaches. The same principle applies all the more in the spiritual domain. So I deliberately put this, I made this line a little bit more vertical over here as compared to this is the earlier guidance a little more horizontal. So if we consider we have the guru and the disciple. Now, in one sense, the word guru has now almost become secularized. That you can have a not just a spiritual guru, somebody can have a cricket guru, somebody can have a chess guru, somebody can have a business guru. In fact, dot guru is a domain which some people who are teachers, they try to have that dot guru domain for themselves. At one time it was becoming very popular. After that it didn't catch on so much, but the idea is that the word guru itself has become secularized in the sense that it has gone beyond the domain of spirituality. Now, Srila Prabhupada would often emphasize that the word guru means heavy. It's an interesting word to consider, heavy. If you see that generally we use the word heavy in terms of weight, but we can also use the word heavy in terms of severity. That was a heavy statement. That is a heavy accusation to carry. That is a heavy load to bear on your heart. So when you use the word heavy, it's not just large weight, but it is great severity. That was a heavy session. So we use that. Now, if we consider in what sense is the word heavy being used, there are many when it is used for guru. So at one level, the guru is heavy with wisdom, but then we may have the question that actually, if we have wisdom actually is often compared to light. It gives light, and it also makes us to some extent light-hearted, in the sense that we become cheerful. If we compare light-hearted with heavy-hearted means, say, if you have lost a loved one, you're just recovering from a relationship breakup, if something very distressing has happened in us, heavy-hearted generally means distressed. It's burdened by distress. So the guru is not heavy in terms of being heavy-hearted. The guru is heavy. Heaviness of the guru is more in terms of the gravity about life. That is what is the primary focus. That heavy does not mean mm, no cheerfulness. No, Prabhupada was one of the most lively persons that many of his disciples knew. And there are some people who bring cheer wherever they go, and there are some people who take away the cheer wherever they go. As soon as they come in, people may be jolly and talking, and as soon as that person comes in, everybody becomes silent and almost scared. But that's not what we are looking for over here. And that's not what Guru is all about. The Guru has the joy verb. The joy of life is there in the Guru, and the Guru is radiating that joy of life and sharing it with others. At the same time, so the Guru is, there is gravity about life, but it is not lack of cheerfulness. So what is gravity of life means? It essentially means recognizing that actions have consequences. Now you may say that what's the big truth about that? I know it all the time. Actions have consequences. No, do we really know it? That does it really register for us that every moment of time, once it is gone forever, and that the choices we make now will either be positive or negative, and sometimes they can be disastrously positive. So that way, when we work, we learn to take things forward in a way that is constructive, in a way that is positive for us. So we need to, so the heavy is that, say suppose somebody is driving a car, then there has to be certain level of gravity. I'm operating a heavy duty machine, and if it goes out of control, it can be disastrous for my life, for the life of others, and I have to be careful. So to that extent, that gravity is there. But that does not mean a person never smiles. That is not the heaviness of the Guru. Now, why is this important? If we consider in the context which we are having, Indra and Brahaspati. Indra did an action that was frivolous. So, if you have the word serious, the opposite of that could be frivolous. Now, frivolous means that one is, a more common word, a less common word is facetious. Facetious means that one is taking very serious things very casually. Like say if a patient is on the deathbed and the doctor comes there with a very cheerful smile. So, hello, how are you? And yes, what's happening here? Now that is not just inappropriate, it is disrespectful, it is outrageous. So when gravity is required and gravity is not there, that is when the problem comes up. The technical word for this is facetious. So now frivolous or facetious. So Indra had been frivolous. That means what had happened to Indra was that when he should have been respectful to his guru, he didn't offer respects to his guru. And if you see this incident, Indra Brahaspati, in some ways it echoes the incident of Parikshit and Shringi. Now, sorry, not Shringi, Shamikrishi. Almost every story in the Bhagavatam there are the parallels between that story and the story of the core driving story of Parikshit Maharaj and Shamikrishi. So in this story, now Parikshit Maharaj also offended Shamikrishi, and there was a problem because of that. But the problem was that he was cursed to die, and he was going to die in 7 days. Now here, on the other hand, Indra lost everything. He didn't really die. So, so now Indra is going to regain the things that he has lost by offering an apology. So, in one sense, that's a happy ending for him. In the case of Parikshit Maharaj, if you see, uh, Parikshit Maharaj, at one level, he had an unpleasant interaction with a Brahmana. Say life is sometimes complex. So there was an interaction with Shamik Rishi. Then there was actually it was more like a unidirectional interaction, or we could put it this way that the interaction was from his side. It was some level of disrespect. Now, he thought there was a disrespect from Shamik Rishi towards him, but there was a greater disrespect by him. Now from Shringi, there was a curse to him. Now, if you consider most of the sages at Naimisharanya. So what is happening with the sages? They are also, most of them are Brahmanas. And now what is happening over here is that with Parikshit Maharaj, in one sense, is taking shelter. So in this case, the question comes up that why is it that Parikshit Maharaj did not go and take shelter of Shamik Rishi himself? Why did he not go and seek forgiveness from Shamik Rishi? So the point is that Shamik Rishi himself felt embarrassed by the actions of his son. And while Parikshit Maharaj recognized that I have offended a sage, but he also recognized that the action that Shringi had taken was far disproportionate. And by that action, which was way more wrong than the offense. So because of that, Shamik Rishi was also feeling embarrassed. And suppose we have done something wrong, or somebody under us has done something wrong, and then somebody else comes and apologizes to us. What happens is we end up feeling further embarrassed by that. So the Acharyas explained that Parikshit Maharaj didn't want to further embarrass Shamik Rishi. And that's why, in one sense, he put an end to this interaction. He just put this behind him. So, put it behind him. It's happened when Shamik Rishi also, in one sense, conveyed that Shamik Rishi didn't come himself to tell Parikshit Maharaj that this is what has happened. Shamik Rishi sent a messenger that you have been cursed. Now, we could say that is impersonal. It's like if we have if a doctor is treating a patient and the doctor has to deliver a diagnosis that, okay, you're going to die in 7 days. And the least that we would expect is that let the doctor himself come and give the diagnosis. Not that the doctor sends some assistant, some pune or some nurse, and she says, okay, you're going to die in 7 days. And what to speak of, even worse, if, say, the patient came with a small disease to the doctor and there was some medical complication in the hospital. And when there's a medical complication in the hospital, because of which the patient is going to die in 7 days now. And at that time, the doctor doesn't even care to come and say that, okay, you're going to die now. The doctor just sends a message. It can seem impersonal. But actually, what seems impersonal, it seems It seems severely impersonal. It was actually, in one sense, actually it conveyed heart's remorse. So generally, if one person has done something wrong, the other person has done something wrong, and the third person has done something further wrong, so we could say that Shamik Rishi's was this a mistake on his side? Well, you could say almost no mistake. He was just meditating. He didn't even notice that Parikshit Maharaj was there. But in Parikshit Maharaj, there was some mistake from his side. Shringi, there was a bigger mistake. So we could say Shamik Rishi, Parikshit Maharaj. So here you could say unintentional neglect. There's unintentional neglect over here. And then okay, how it will go is it will go here. From Parikshit Maharaj to Shamik Rishi, there was out of character disrespect. You could say it was wrong what he did, but it is out of character, it is circumstantial disrespect. Out of character or circumstantial disrespect. Now, when this happened, after, so you could say this is the first part of the incident, series of incidents. This is the second. Now, after that, Shringi is coming into the picture. So you could say first is just unfortunate. Second is, first is just bad, you could say. Second is a little bit worse. But what Shringi does, it was again, you could say it was impulsive abuse of power. But that abuse of power was severely destructive. It caused him to die. So this was by far. And there's a third thing. Now, why is it considered impulsive? Because after cursing, Shringi himself started crying. And when Shringi started crying, so what we could do is that we could focus on here recognizing that how issues get escalated one after another and just close the chapter now, just move on with life. So the idea was at this point, although there was no direct interaction between Parikshit Maharaj and either Shamik Rishi or Shringi, Parikshit Maharaj could have gone to Shringi for seeking forgiveness. Parikshit Maharaj could have targeted Shringi for punishing him. How dare you curse me like this? But in a sense, there were a lot of emotions over there. There was Parikshit Maharaj's sense of Parikshit Maharaj's remorse was there. Shamik Rishi's embarrassment were there. Shringi's anger and abuse of power and then his regret, all those emotions were there. And Parikshit Maharaj realized, I don't have time now. If 7 days is all that I have, 7 days is what I want to immerse myself. Immerse myself in this. So sometimes we can have some relational issues with someone and we tried a lot to resolve the issue. But if the issue is not getting resolved, then okay, we pray for that person's well-being, we mentally seek forgiveness if we can, and then just move on with life. So in this case, Parikshit Maharaj was going to die and he focused on how can I get the best shelter. And he again, there was no disrespect of Brahmanas per se because he took shelter of Brahmanas again. Now, if you contrast that with the situation of Indra and Brahaspati, they were, you could say, they had a regular ongoing relationship. The Prabhupada often uses the word guru very inclusively. Just like I said that the word guru is now used in secular circles also. So like that, the word guru, Prabhupada uses sometimes to refer not necessarily to spiritual guru. So guru, the term used inclusively. Inclusively means what happens is that so I could say Prabhupada uses the word Drona, and he says Drona was the guru. Now Drona, there's no indication that he ever gave any spiritual instructions. He only gave martial instructions. Now, if you consider the Prabhupada even says Shukracharya was like the guru, and and Bali Maharaj had to, he refused his guru. In one sense, he rejected his guru's instructions. He was giving more ritual instruction. Now, if we consider Brihaspati is also sometimes he's more like the godly equivalent of Shukra. Shukracharya is the instructor for the asuras, and Brihaspati is the instructor for the devatas. So in one sense, he also gives ritual instructions. There are not many incidents in the scriptures where Brihaspati is teaching elaborate philosophy. So we could say Brihaspati is definitely more virtuous, but still he is more of a priest. He's more of a priest. Okay, let's put it this way. He is more a priest than a philosopher or a philosophical guide. Philosopher or philosophy teacher. So Prabhupada uses the word guru inclusively. In this case, Brihaspati is more of a ritual instructor, more of a priest. But deference, respect is to be offered. And in this case, because they had an ongoing relationship, because Indra had nowhere near the renunciation of Parikshit Maharaj, Indra still very much wanted to be the king. So that's the key thing now, that step by step there is an indication that when is working with the authority figure, one has to be respectful, one has to be careful, one has to be conscious of the gravity of the situation. So Prabhupada would quote Chanakya Pandit, he says fire and guru. He says guru is like fire. If you go too close, we get burned. So now sometimes we may go close with a good intention, sometimes we may go too close with a bad intention, whatever it is. We may be careless, we may be careful, whatever it is, but we will get burnt. And if you want to avoid getting burnt, then we have to do the needful for that. That is, we have to learn to be cautious. So Parikshit Maharaj's story is going to end in a different way. But in one sense, through this story, he's being reassured that he is on the right track. He has taken shelter of Brahmanas and he's moving forward. Sometimes in our lives, we sometimes end up displeasing or offending a devotee, and sometimes we just don't have the opportunity to maybe seek forgiveness from that devotee. Maybe that devotee is gone somewhere else, maybe that devotee is departed from the world, whatever it is. So Krishna, as much as possible, we can try to seek forgiveness from that devotee, but sometimes that may not be possible. What if that devotee is not forgiving at all? Does that mean that if that person is not forgiving, then that will be held forever against us? No. Ultimately, Krishna does not control the actions of every single individual. And Krishna doesn't expect us to be able to control others' actions also. Control others' actions means make them do what we want them to do. It also means make them forgive us when we want them to forgive us. We can't control other people. But the principle is we want to take shelter of Krishna. We take shelter of Krishna through the representative, through the some representative of Krishna. And that brings us, so I said that I'll talk about this. There's the Guru Tattva, and then there is the Guru. So this is a whole big subject, but the Guru Tattva is basically ultimately Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Krishna is the Guru, ultimate Guru of everyone, Jagat Guru. And in one sense, if you consider the Guru Tattva is universal. In his last offering that he wrote to Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, and that is published in Science of Self-Realization. It says the Guru Tattva is, it's non-different from Krishna. Now we could go into technicalities and say it's not Krishna, it is Balaram, but then we can say Krishna and Balaram also not different. But from there, what happens is there are many individual gurus. And these individual gurus can guide different people. So there is the team, these are all various gurus. Now, of course, I am here showing gurus only in one generation, but we can have gurus going on in parampara coming from Krishna. So like that, the gurus keep coming in parampara. Now this could have the same parampara going down like this. So we have the parampara, we have the past, and then we have the parampara as it is present right now. So when we link with the guru, what it means is that we focus on connecting with Krishna through the guru. The guru is important, at the same time Krishna is also important. And suppose for a particular devotee the guru is not accessible. Sometimes some gurus have lots of disciples, and then it's very difficult for a devotee to feel that they have access to their guru. They don't have access to their guru. And sometimes it may happen that a devotee, if we do not understand the Guru Tattva along with the importance of Guru, and what happens is the devotee ends up feeling essentially that I am no one without my Guru, and simultaneously I am no one to be with my Guru. So this kind of feeling can be very disempowering, that a devotee who does not have the association, the guidance, the inspiration of the Guru, I'm no one without my Guru. This combination of it can be deadly disempowering. A person gets this kind of feeling that I am no one to be with my Guru and I am no one without my Guru. Then what am I? That I'm too small a person. My Guru has many more senior disciples, many big projects, so my Guru has no time for me. And so I'm no one to be with my Guru. My services, my existence is so insignificant. Okay, it may be insignificant, but still, if that is one part of the equation, the other part of the equation simultaneously is that I'm no one to be with my Guru. Then if we have that feeling, I'm no one to be with my Guru, then it becomes very, very problematic, because what am I supposed to do then? How am I supposed to exist? So devotees feeling this happens when without understanding of Guru Tattva. Yes, our individual Guru is extremely important, but at the same time, it is Krishna who is guiding us through that Guru, and that's why we have Diksha Guru and we have Shiksha Gurus. And the point is, Krishna can offer us guidance through many channels. The same Krishna It is the same Krishna. Now, in one sense, we have this saying that at one level the Diksha Guru is similar, at another level is not similar. So the Achintya Bhedabhed principle comes in. But the key point is, if we consider Krishna as the Jagat Guru, then that same Krishna can guide a devotee through the Diksha Guru, and the same Krishna can guide a devotee through multiple Shiksha Gurus. And in one sense, a devotee seeker is never bereft of guidance. A devotee seeker is never bereft of guidance. So we may hear classes from different devotees. We may have personal guidance from different devotees. We may have personal guidance. Some of us may have personal guidance from our Diksha Guru. Some of us may have personal guidance from our senior God family. Some of us may have guidance from some other devotees. They are they are a broader part of our. Sorry, they are a broader part of our spiritual family. Now there is be reconsidering the vocabulary that we use. The word Guru Bhai or Guru Behan, the God Guru Bhai, that is translated into English as God brother or God sister, if Guru Behan hai. Now this was a translation that was made by, as far as the historical record goes, this was used by some Advaitic scholars who were part of the British Renaissance of India. And then in the Gaudiya tradition also that was adopted. But it's a problematic translation, because if God is the father of all living beings, then how can anyone not be our God brother? To say that you are not my God brother, you're not my God sister. Well, God is the parent of everyone. So now what word can be used? Well, we are exploring the vocabulary to see what word can be used. But if it's in devotee circles, it's best to use the word Guru, Guru Bhai and Guru Behan, Guru Parivar, because once we start using it for God brother and God sister, and it means, the very idea, if God is a parent, how can you have somebody who is not your God brother and God sister? So the point I'm making is that God is a universal teacher of everyone. And because he's a universal teacher of everyone, he can offer us teaching through various sources. We have Srila Prabhupada's example. Prabhupada said that there was not a moment I felt separated from my Guru Maharaj. And even there's a postman who told Prabhupada that, Swamiji, people throw away books. You write this thing and that will work. You write books, people throw away magazines. You write books and they will be lasting for a long time. And that is amazing. And Prabhupada took that as Krishna is speaking to me. When one of his god brothers said that you should take sannyas, Prabhupada felt that it is his Guru Maharaj speaking through him. You should take sannyas. So the key point is that overall, it's important for each one of us to recognize that Krishna will never leave us without guidance. And ultimately, Krishna is also present. This is the Atma. Next to it is the Paramatma. And the Paramatma is the Chaitya Guru. So, as a Chaitya Guru, Krishna is there with us, within us. Chaitya Guru means that Chaitya is the adjective of Chaitanya. And that means that as our Chaitanya becomes more alert, as it becomes more and more awakened, then we learn to become more and more aware of the guidance of the ultimate Guru. Can everyone please mute themselves? I'm hearing some constant noise coming from someone.
Muted, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. So Krishna as a Chaitya Guru is always available for each one of us. And in the Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, Uddhav Gita, it is said that ultimately each one of us has to become our own Guru. Now that does not mean that we reject our Guru, but that what it means is become your own Guru. Now, how is this sacrifice? The word is Mayavadi, but Atmaivaya Atmano Gurur. It is the Bhagavatam says that you have to become your own Guru. That and Jiva Goswami explains his commentary over there. This does not at all mean that we reject our Guru. That means rather by taking guidance from our Guru, our intelligence develops. And then we learn to take responsibility for our decisions. That it is unless we learn to take responsibility for our decisions, Prabhupada said we have to fly our own plane. Now, flying our own plane means what? That we recognize that there will be times when I cannot outsource the responsibility for decision making on anyone else. It is I who have to take the decision, and I have to take the decision as well as I can in the particular situation that I am in. Whatever best I can take the decision, I have to take the decision. And when we take responsibility, then we grow. So Prabhupada says in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita that a person who with a bona fide spiritual master knows everything. That means what he's essentially saying is that each one of us has to, in one sense, take responsibility for our spiritual life. So Atmano Guru Atmaiva Purushasya Visheshataha Yat Pratyakshanubha Anumanabhyam Shreyo Asa Anuvindate. Atmano Guru Atmaiva. Atmano self. Atmano Guru Atmaiva. The self is indeed the Guru of self. Now its qualification Purushasya Visheshataha. For a Purusha, for the individual, Visheshataha. In a particular sense. What is that? Yat Pratyakshanumana through Pratyaksha, through our own experience, through Anumana through inference from our experience. Shreyo is a long term good. Shreyo is contrasted with prayer. Asav, Anuvindate, that means we can perceive. We can gain that which is our ultimate good. So let me explain this verse and then conclude this discussion. We can have some question answers. So Atmano Guru Atmaiva, that the self is the Guru of the self in a particular sense. What is the particular sense? That after we learn from our Guru we get Shabda. Example, if I am here, now my Guru is here. Okay. Guru and disciple. So from the Guru we get Shabda. We get spiritual knowledge. And after we get Shabda, now when we are facing the world, so if this is the world we have to face, when we are facing the world, we cannot constantly be looking back at our head to over our head to our Guru. What should I do now? What should I do now? What should I do now? We have to face the world. So how do we face the world? We perceive the world through Pratyaksha. And then as we learn from our Pratyaksha, we learn to infer, Anuman. So Pratyaksha and Anuman, these are also Pramanas. Pramanas means they are valid ways of acquiring knowledge. So we need to use Pratyaksha and Anuman, Shreyo Asav Anuvindate. In the particular situation that I am in, how can I pursue the Shreya? How can I pursue my ultimate good? This is something which a devotee has to take individual responsibility for. So the idea is that as we learn from our guru, the result of that learning is that even our Pratyaksha and Anuman becomes more and more spiritually directed. So we could say without guru's guidance, what happens for us is both Pratyaksha and Anuman, they are both, what happens is they are sensually directed. They are directed towards sense gratification. They are directed towards making it big in the world, getting pleasure in the world. But with guru's guidance, what happens is the individual, their Pratyaksha and Anuman, it becomes both of them become spiritually directed, devotionally directed. They become directed toward Krishna. That means they become directed towards, in the situation that I am in the challenges that I am facing, how can I serve Krishna? How can I move closer toward Krishna? So what is Anukul for my bhakti? What is Pratikul for my bhakti? We cannot be constantly looking over our head and waiting for our guru to tell us, do this, don't do this. No. We use our God-given intelligence to make decisions. And that is what Krishna wants us to do. Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, but Krishna was not spoon-feeding decisions to Arjuna thereafter. Arjuna said to Krishna, I surrender unto you. But then after that, it was not that Krishna was constantly telling Arjuna, okay, do this, don't do this. No, Arjuna was taking his own decisions. And sometimes Krishna was giving inputs that, okay, you are fighting this war. Okay, maybe you should fight this warrior first. Maybe when on the day when he was fighting he was supposed to reach Jayadratha. Then Drona challenged him and Arjuna started engaging with Drona, and Krishna said, hey, Arjuna, the fight with Drona can go on all day. Just go ahead now. And he did that. But Arjuna was taking his own decisions. They were directed towards Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada himself, Prabhupada's Gurudev gave him the instruction, speak in English, spread Krishna consciousness in the Western world. Prabhupada did that. And then after that, Prabhupada said that he told his disciples that my Guru Maharaj told me to spread Krishna consciousness in the West. I have done that. And now I am trying. Now I want to spread Krishna consciousness in India. Now, why did he say that? Because he understood that in India, by his Pratyaksha and Anuman, he observed that while in the West people were becoming devotees, but the culture was so alien, so hostile, that they needed a cultural home where devotees could come and they could re-strengthen themselves, rejuvenate themselves. And he felt that India would be that cultural home. So he wanted a foundation for the Krishna consciousness movement to be in India. So that was his Pratyaksha Anuman. That okay, India is the place where we want the foundation. Prabhupada spent maximum time in India. We could say that his Guru Maharaj, his first and last instruction was spread Krishna consciousness in the West. And yet, if we consider from 1970, especially from 1971, 72, till 77, Prabhupada spent more time in India than any other part of the world. So was Prabhupada not following his Guru Maharaj? No, Prabhupada was actually not just following the instruction, but fulfilling the intention behind the instruction. So there are three levels of disciples, as they say, followers. Say the third level is neglects or disobeys, neglects instruction. So the second level is madhyam is follows instruction. But the first is fulfills intention behind instruction. So Bhakti Thakur didn't just want that, okay, you go to the West and preach and make some people devotees, and yes, show the whole world I made some devotees. No, he wanted a legacy to be created that would go on for thousands of years. And that means Prabhupada used his Pratyaksha. He saw the Western world. Now, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he knew about how the West was influencing the whole world. But Bhaktivedanta Thakur had not gone to the West. So when Prabhupada went to the West, he was successful, far more successful than some of his god brothers. Actually, than all of his god brothers combined. But he realized that, okay, these people are becoming devotees, but what is the foundation? What is the only foundation for them? That needs to be in India. So he fulfilled that instruction. So Prabhupada used his Pratyaksha and Anuman. Okay, this is where we'll be more effective. This is where we'll be, in one sense, more effective, more outreach might be there visibly, but it may not be sustainable. So that is how. Now we may say we are not Prabhupada. Of course we are not Prabhupada. But that does not mean we don't need, purity is not a precondition for individuality. It is, we are individuals always. Whether we are pure or impure, we are still individuals. And our individuality is never lost. So now, of course, as we become purer, the expression of our individuality becomes healthier. If somebody is not pure and they say, I'm an individual, I'll express my individuality. And what is your expression of your individuality? Well, I want to smoke and I want to drink and I want to do drugs and I want to do all kinds of things which are harmful for me. So we don't want to get involved in just being whimsical in the name of being individual. But still, the guru's purpose is wants the disciple to progress, the disciple to do justice to the God-given talents, the disciple to carry on from where that person has, till where the person has evolved from the previous life, and continue on and take off rapidly in this life. So all that means that the person should focus on taking responsibility for spiritual growth. So we learn from our experience. If we have practiced bhakti for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, we ourselves understand what nourishes us in bhakti. For some devotees, they may find that, okay, it's hearing the Bhagavatam that nourishes me. For somebody else, it may be the Chaitanya Charitamrita that nourishes them. For somebody else, it may be the Bhagavad Gita that nourishes them. For somebody else, it may be, Shastra study is nice. For me, what really nourishes me is deity worship. For somebody else, what nourishes them is, say, book distribution. For somebody else, what nourishes them especially is going out and talking to people and inspiring them in Krishna consciousness. And now, through all these ways, it is Krishna who is enlivening us. It is Krishna who is engaging us. It is Krishna who is reaching out to us. And we, by our Pratyaksha, we have to decide. Okay, service, this helps me come closer, feel closer to Krishna internally. And it's also helping me bring others closer to Krishna. So, this is the service I should focus on. This is the area in which I can connect more deeply with Krishna. So now we could say the purpose of life we get from our Guru, that we cannot get from anyone else. We need the Guru to clearly tell us the purpose of life. But by Guru means from our outer Gurus. But the process to fulfill that purpose, that is something which, by process I don't mean chanting. That now with the bhakti is of course there, but which limb of bhakti to focus on? Should I take up this job or that job? Should I take up a job now which will be a little more demanding, but then I can earn a good amount of money, I can save money, and then I can focus on serving Krishna more in future? Or should I just make sure that I keep serving Krishna right now also, and even if that means I have to keep working more in future, well, that's something we as our own Guru have to take this decision. Certainly, if our Guru is accessible, we take the guidance from our Guru. But the purpose of the Guru is to ultimately connect us with our Chaitya Guru. The purpose of the Guru is to engage, inspire us, empower us to use our God-given senses, to use our God-given mind. Pratyaksha happens with the senses, Anuman happens with the mind. To use our God-given senses and God-given mind to serve Krishna. That is what we want to do. That is what will fulfill us in our life. And that is what the Bhagavatam ultimately points us towards. So I'll summarize what I discussed today. I started by talking about the particular incident over here and how in this particular pastime the dynamic of Brahman and Kshatriya. We talked about the Guru, Tattva and Guru. How the one Guru can manifest in many different ways. Guru person. We talked about the relationship between that. Then I talked about the dynamic of how the parallel between Parikshit Maharaj and Brahmanas, multiple Brahmanas, versus we can have, or not versus, similar to Indra and Brahaspati. In the case of, because Indra had an ongoing relationship with Brahaspati, he took shelter of Indra. So he took shelter of Brahaspati and sought forgiveness. In the case of Parikshit Maharaj, the principle of having offended Brahmanas was similar, but specifics were different. In order to not further embarrass Shamik Rishi, into not further creating an antagonism between him and Shringi, Parikshit Maharaj just closed that chapter and took shelter of Brahmanas in the form of sages. And then we discussed two main points about how we need to see that Guru is accessible for us in many different ways. And it is Krishna who is the Guru. Krishna can give us access to Guru through Diksha Guru, through Shiksha Gurus, through the Chaitanya Guru in our own heart. And the last point I discussed is that become our own Guru. That means that we learn what our Guru has taught us, and then we take responsibility for using our Pratyaksha and Anuman so that we can move towards Krishna through that. And in that way, each one of us takes responsibility for our spiritual advance. That's what Srila Prabhupada did, and that's what we need to do to move ahead, to decide what is Anukul and what is Pratikul in our bhakti, and move ahead accordingly. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji. That was really very wonderful class. So, devotees, any questions? I could see some question is there in the chat. While listening to this class, I wonder why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati wanted to spread Krishna consciousness in the West, not India, but the West. Sunil Prabhuji is asking.
Well, I think same reason that Prabhupada also wanted it, that the West was what the whole world was imitating at that time. Of course, during Thakur, the West meant Britain. America was rising in its fortunes, but America had not risen that much. So it is that as its fortunes rose, Prabhupada shifted his focus from from UK to America. But the idea was that what is being demonstrated, what people are being infatuated by, that we need to make sure that what people are attracted to, we ensure that itself we show is how that is also something which can be connected with Krishna, how that can help them come closer to Krishna. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Shukkar, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Your class is so wonderful. These notes you will send it now. Will you give it so that we can have it? What you draw, the whole thing is very. I cannot copy the whole thing.
Yes, Prabhu, sure.
Is my what? Prabhu, just want to know this. Prabhu, this Ritvik. Why the Ritvik was made? Because Ritvik was already made. It's in the Shastra. Ritvik is there, but unnecessarily, the bifurcation is happening, division. So,
see, Ritvik traditionally means basically a priest who is a representative to do do some work. Now,
Ah.
the Ritvik basically it arose from a crisis of faith, and I would say that in 1984 was a very bad year for ISKCON. Several of the gurus had serious problems. Many of them resigned from guruship. Some of them had to be dismissed from their guruship. So that shattered the faith of many devotees. And many devotees were groping for explanations. Why exactly did this happen? And how do we make sense of this? So there was an aura of absolute infallibility that most of the gurus were expected to wear based on their understanding of how Prabhupada conducted himself. So when that aura was proven to be false, different devotees tried to do different things. So basically the mainstream ISKCON body recognized that Srila Prabhupada was the founder Acharya of ISKCON, but Prabhupada did not make one successor Acharya. Prabhupada wanted the devotees to work together. So it is that devotees working together means that devotees have to cooperate. That means sometimes my guru may be infallible for me, but my guru may not be seen as infallible by my god brother, by his god brother. And my guru may not have the same authority for those who are not my god family. So the particular complexities of how to navigate and negotiate that is something which had to be figured out. So slowly and surely we are understanding that ultimately the guru is not, Prabhupada very categorically said that the guru is not omniscient, the guru is not God. But often the statements Aksha, Dharitven and all those were misunderstood, misapplied to claim that the guru is God for all practical purposes. And when the guru turned out to be not God because of some problem they had, then they said, okay, what's wrong? Maybe nobody else is. So you could say nobody else is meant to be a guru. So it's the idea is that the guru is also a part of the tradition. The guru is also meant to be grounded in the tradition. So we could say if you consider pendulum perspective, so we could have on one side of the pendulum is every guru is perfect like Srila Prabhupada. That was the pre 1984 understanding in ISKCON. That was the time when the that was an understanding in the zone, what was called a zonal acharya system. Basically, each guru was considered the absolute authority in their own zone, and then the result of that was that the International Society of Krishna Consciousness became basically 13 zonal society of Krishna consciousness. It was not one international society, and the walls between each zone became bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when the guru was found to be not perfect, then what happened is no guru except Prabhupada is perfect. So therefore nobody should be a guru at all. This was the post 1984 Ritvik understanding that came up. Now, in one sense, you could go into philosophical quotes and all that, and there can be a case made based on that, but ultimately it's a crisis of faith, and a crisis of faith cannot be resolved simply by quoting scripture. We need actually to have the gurus who are exemplary, who are inspiring, who are steady, who are lifelong devoted. So now the current, you could say, more evolved understanding is all gurus delivered by Prabhupada's mercy. So Prabhupada has his own position, just like in the four sampradayas, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya have their distinct position. So similarly, this is the more evolved contemporary understanding within our movement. Now, what does this understanding mean? How does it apply in terms of how important is our guru? How important is Srila Prabhupada? So these are things which we are still figuring out. Even now, this pre 1984 syndromes are still there. Some of the syndromes are there. Say, for example, in many temples, for Prabhupada's Vyas Puja, there might be say 50 items made. For the Guru's Vyas Puja, 500 items are made. Now, the Prabhupada's Vyas Puja is one day. The Guru's Vyas Puja sometimes goes 7 days or 3 days or so much more time. So now, is that desirable? Is that undesirable? What can be done about these? These are things which have to be figured out gradually. So, how can we be centered on Krishna and Srila Prabhupada? So that is something which has to be found out. And as far as I can see that in many ways the Ritviks are dedicated to Srila Prabhupada, and they are trying to serve, and hopefully in the future differences will be resolved. So we can best avoid acrimony, we can best avoid mutual criticism, and let the leaders resolve the issues among themselves. That's the best way to move forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Prabhuji, one more question. I got a call from a very senior devotee, and he said, actually, we were not in spiritual world at all. We were all here only. Because we are all not Nitya Siddhas. We are Nitya Baddhas.
No, I'm not going to get into that question. I'm not going to get into that question. There are different statements that Prabhupada has made, and there are different answers that are given. So whichever answer we find satisfactory, we use that and move forward in our life. This is is Prabhupada's Praman higher than Shastra Praman? Is Shastra Praman higher than Prabhupada's Praman? Can Prabhupada and Shastra's Praman both be reconciled? These are difficult hermeneutical issues, and there is no one answer that satisfies everyone. So depending on who gives which statements more importance, they will come to a particular understanding. And I feel this is not something worth fighting over. Yeah. If somebody strongly feels that we came from the spiritual world, that's great. If somebody feels strongly that no, we didn't come from the spiritual world, that's also fine. These are issues. Every tradition has issues which are like what I like to call them as intellectual banana peels. As soon as you step on a banana peel, you slip and fall. And you climb up and again step on the banana peel. Again you slip and fall. So if you want to move ahead, stop stepping on that banana peel. Just put your foot somewhere else, and then you can move ahead. So I have not found anyone who has how should I put it? I've not found anyone who can firmly stand on that banana peel and not slip. That means what I mean by slipping is that you have to, if you want to emphasize Shastra statements, you have to downplay some of Prabhupada statements. And to emphasize Prabhupada statements, you have to downplay some of Shastra statements. Is there a perfect harmony that respects both? Well, you can make a harmony, but is it a perfect harmony? Is it respectful for both Shastra and Prabhupada? There are differences of opinion. So I don't think this is a very consequential issue to get into.
So just keep doing the devotional service and praying for going back home. That's all.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That's really whatever you said, the banana peel. It's really a very good reply, actually. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Shuka Mataji.
Thank you.
Shuka Mataji. Okay. Mataji, can you go ahead?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I was not able to unmute, so that's why it took some time. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhuji, I have this question regarding this Chitraketu episode that he got the darshan of the Supreme Lord. And even after that, like an incident like this happened, my understanding based on other scriptural references is that a person who gets a darshan is like immediately, in one sense liberated and goes back to Godhead like that. but we have seen other instances too where it's not so immediate. So how do we understand these scriptural verses, Prabhuji?
Well, there's no guarantee of anything in the material world. We have the example of even Pururava worshipping the Vishnu, performing a yagya, and Vishnu comes and gives him darshan. And when he gets darshan of Vishnu, he says, I want Urvashi. The example of Dhruva getting the darshan and saying that I don't want a kingdom anymore. So why is the difference? Well, it depends on how strong a particular desire is in someone. That if a person's material conceptions are very, very strong, then the Lord's darshan will always have effect. But how or when it will have the effect, we don't know. And see, the Chitraketu getting darshan of the Lord, that is glorious. But ultimately, life in the world is what it is, and misunderstandings can always happen in the world. And Chitraketu was eventually redeemed. It was a long troubled journey, and that is how life sometimes is. So if we want a guarantee that there'll be no problems in our life if we just do XYZ, well, life does not come with any guarantee like that. But the point is, like, it's a relationship, and relationship means there are dynamics. There's always dynamism. So we stay as much as we can true to our relationship, and every relationship is individual. It's like can nowadays say, take a money example. So many marriages are having challenges. So can anyone give one formula? Just do this one thing, and you will never have any problem in your marriage. Well, many people can give many things, but in spite of that, there will be problems. Now, of course, there are certain things which can be done to minimize the problems. There are certain things which can be done to resolve the problems as and when they come. But ultimately, relationship means dynamism. And dynamism means that there is a certain level of unpredictability to it. But eventually, one who has served the Lord, one who has dedicated himself to the Lord, that person will be delivered. But whether before that there might be some kind of trauma or tragedy, that's possible. That's the nature of the world. So Bhakti does not teach us what is called like lollipop land philosophy. Lollipop land means that like a children think, oh, life is filled with lollipops. Just enjoy. Bhakti doesn't tell us that. Bhagavata's philosophy or Bhakti philosophy is not what is called lollipop land philosophy. That the world is never going to become lollipop land. Even if somebody becomes a pure devotee, still they will have troubles in the world. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drudavrataha. That even those who are fully devoted to the Lord, even they have to drudavrataha. They have to have determination. Why? Because the world is a difficult place. We may need drudavrataha because our own mind and senses and our conditionings trouble us. Even if they don't have any of these, so they have no conditionings, but still the conditions of the world are there. Conditions can still be troublesome. So that's why to pursue through the troublesome nature of the world, there is the Drudavata is always required. Okay. Yes. So last question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Shivakumar, Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams. Prabhu, my question from today's class, Prabhu, a generic philosophical question between individuality and surrender, Prabhu. My understanding is the Swabhava is part of the individuality, in which case,
yes,
to the extent that I surrender, I see that the scope for individuality has to be nullified. So I just wanted to understand, Prabhu, in Vaishnava, we insist both on individuality and then surrender. Kind of how do these things go together, Prabhu, is the question.
See, the ultimate resolution would be that we find out how best our individuality can be used in Krishna's service. See, nature is made in such a way that organisms perform best when they use what they have. isn't it? A deer cannot function well in a river, isn't it? And nature doesn't expect deer to function in a river. Nature doesn't expect fish to climb trees. So why would God, who is ultimately in control of nature, the way he functions within nature, why would he suddenly stop expecting a similar functioning in human society? That just as the gifts that are being given are what are used in natural by all species, so why should it be different for humans? So we should not see acting according to our nature as a lack of surrender. It is acting of our nature. Well, if you say I'm a soul, then even the nature of my body mind is given to me by Krishna. We can say that it is given to me by Krishna by my past karma. That's true. But my past karma could have come in 100 ways to me. My past karma came to be in this particular combination. And that happens under Krishna's arrangement, Maya Adhyakshina Prakriti. So acting according to my nature is also surrendering to Krishna. Because there is a nature has been given to us by Krishna. So that's why I don't think we should see a necessary competition between the two. But in some situations, we may find that our authorities, our guru may expect us to do a particular service that is not according to our nature. And as a matter of surrender, we can do that service. But over a period of time, as we also grow, as we get a little more autonomy, as we get a little more seniority, then we can focus on the services that are more in harmony with our nature. And ultimately, the purpose of the guru is not just to get services done, but the purpose of the guru is that we be engaged in a way that is self-sustainable and self-motivated. That we don't need somebody to always push us, do this, do this, do this. And if something is according to our nature, then we won't need someone to push us. Something is not according to our nature, then we'll definitely need to be pushed. Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. I know there are a couple of other questions, but I have to go now. We'll address some of the other questions in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving your valuable time and association. A very wonderful Q&A session also. And thank you so much, devotees, for joining the call. Let's pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatrupesha kripa sindhutevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha anantakoti vaishnavamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you.
Gauranga, Nityananda,
Radhe.
Nityananda, Gauranga, Gauranga, Nityananda. Jai Shri Radhe.
Gauranga, Nityananda.